Are you a 3D artist looking for a job? Then make sure you understand the differences between a small studio and a large studio. These days, I see so many people focusing on a super niche, on a very specific skill, like hard surface vehicles or all in on stylized characters. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but I have the impression people don't really know what smaller studios actually require, because they only see the top level AAA games out there and media and people on ArtStation, and so they get a bit of a skewed perspective. So in this video, I want to have a talk about these differences so you better understand how the industry works, so you can better align to what you want and start moving in that direction. My name is Robert. I run Mesh Masters. I've been a 3D artist for 22 years now, actually. And at Mesh Masters, my art studio, which I've been running for about 8 years, we've recently added a second pillar where we help people like you, 3D artists, really take the next step in their professional career. Not only talking about art, but more so about the business side of art. So how to get hired, how to do freelancing, what does that mean from a paperwork type of area, but also how to find clients or how to outreach to people. And like I said earlier, how to focus your portfolio and understand the industry and eventually become that pro that really fits well within the studio or as a freelancer. So they understand design, collaboration, how to do engine work, really become that creative elite. So if you're interested, make sure you reach out. But for now, let's go back to the topic. Like I said, so small versus large studios, what is actually the difference? So at a large studio, we're really talking about 200 people, maybe 200 plus, 100 plus. Some are like 500. And what tends to happen there is structures and pipelines are very defined, which is good because it creates efficiency, and you have to with that many people. And as a result, for 3D artists themselves, they also get hyper focused. So it's very common to see that a role, a 3D position, is really about one single thing. They're really niched down. For example, you are the hard surface weapon modeler, or you are the hyper realistic character modeler. In some studios, it could even be you are the hyper realistic clothing producer or modeler. Same with animation. In small studios, you'll expect to do more, but at large studios, you are the rigger, or you are the animator, or maybe you are the weapon VFX person, whereas somebody else is maybe the environment VFX person. So it's very niched down, and it's really about mastering that niche. Whereas at small studios, let's say 10 people, 20 people, maybe even smaller, it's expected that you are more well-rounded, you are versatile, you can tackle problems in many different areas. You'll probably wear different hats. Maybe this week or this month you will be the vehicle modeler because that's what you're working on, but next month you'll have to probably do the particle effects for that same vehicle. Or maybe there's a gap in the production somewhere because they cannot find a certain skill set to hire. So you'll have to maybe pick up rigging, to give an example. Maybe in an extreme case, UI design. So with small studios, it's more expected that you know game development from a broader scope. You're still the artist, obviously. You won't have to program, most likely. Whereas with a big studio, you're going to niche down on a single skill and master it. So the big question here and the realization is, what would you like to actually do? Whereas what I've seen throughout my 22 years, I've actually come to know many people who prefer that smaller studio because of that creative freedom you get. You're part of the family. You have a say in the product. You're expected to also design your own work. Whereas with bigger studios, like I said, you're kind of like a cog in a bigger machine. Both is, there's no good or wrong here. It's really about what would you like to do, and both will teach you different skills. So if you have the ability, try to explore both. But if it is your first job or you're early in your career, I do believe a smaller studio will make you grow faster and become a more professional in that area. So be aware of those differences and target or aim in the way you apply to what you would like to do first. Now, what does that mean when it comes to applying to these studios? You should obviously start working or building your portfolio in that direction you have chosen. So if you're going to go for a large studio, as I said, that niche, that mastery in a single skill, that needs to come through your portfolio. So let's say you want to be the vehicle creator. Your entire brand, your impression of your portfolio needs to be vehicles, only vehicles to the highest possible level you're able to do, and you should keep pushing that skill. Then when you apply, you obviously apply for that role or the roles that are close to that, and even in your cover letter, it's all about vehicles. So when somebody opens up your work, the first 2 seconds is, this guy has mastered this, this is what we need. Whereas if you really like to explore the smaller studios, what really needs to come forward is that well-roundedness, that versatility, that can you model well? Can you model different things? So environments, characters, props, but can you also do the skills around it? Can you design? Can you tackle challenges? Do you understand game engines, and can you implement your work into game engines? Can you problem solve or debug your own work? Can people let you work on your own and figure things out? So as you can imagine, you need to come across, you could almost say, more professionally. So if you're going in that road, showing different types of work, I would still niche down to the global directions. So I would still aim for either character or environments, still niche down so people know what you're good at, but show that you understand the bigger picture. Show your processes, show how you chose the object you made, the design decisions you made during the process, how you got there, the technical stuff like wireframes and UVs and how you implemented. And what would be a really big plus is if you also show that you made it playable in the engine. So people see you understand Unity or Unreal or Godot, you understand shaders, you understand how to make a finished product. And that process is so much more important if you're aiming for smaller studios. Now, don't forget that this still applies to large studios and if you're going for that direction, but it's more important in smaller studios. So yeah, just to recap, understand, large studios, you're a specialist and your work needs to show that you're like the master at it. Small studios, you're more of a generalist, still focused in a direction. If you're the character person, all in on characters, but you're still a generalist within the characters. Remember that design skill is still super important, more so in small studios. So make sure you don't neglect practicing or training that. As always, no matter which direction you take, your portfolio really needs to tailor in that direction. And remember, there is no good or bad here. So it also really is about what you would like to do and explore. And if you're not sure, I would really aim to aim for the smaller studio first, because that will give you that well-roundedness, that large studios and people working there will also really appreciate, like, you're not just a 3D artist, you're like you understand game development. You understand when you model your work or your object, when it goes to the next person, say a programmer or an animator, that you understand what that means and what the next person will do. So that's really good to show in your work. And so process, show engine work, show that you're competent in this whole domain and that you understand it. As I mentioned earlier, I'm running Mesh Masters. We're a small production team. The core team is about 5 people, but we recently added the pillar to help you become that creative elite, to really boost you in your 3D art career. Really focused on more game, real-time art, how to find clients, how to become that professional, how to understand design and be that well-rounded player. So if you're interested or if you want to learn more, you're always free to reach out for any questions. You can find our contact or my contact on the website, but also on LinkedIn. But yeah, also take a look at the bootcamp we have, which is an 8-week, pretty intensive course, coaching course, where together with me and a small group of around 5, max 6 people, we really dive deep in these subjects to give you that massive boost in your career. So if you're interested, make sure you reach out or take a look on the website, and it will be great to have you on board.